Hi everybody, welcome to Sandling. Today is all about the final part of track laying to the harbour. I am so pleased to get to this part. Plus one new addition and one or two other bits and pieces to add to the layout. So let's roll that intro. Let's see what happens. Hi everybody, welcome back. As I said at the start, it really is the last video relating to the track laying on the Folkestone Harbour area of my layout. Now I know it's been an awful long time in the making and doing. It seems to have occupied every weekend of mine for several months now, trying to get this set up, get the track planned and get the track laid and tested and working. Now we've got there, we've done it. It wasn't without problems along the way, and I've got to say that even right at the last bit, it never gave up without giving me one last little thorn in the side. So we overcame that, or at least I overcame that, and with some advice from friends, and it's now all checked, it's all done. And I do hope that by the end of this video I can run some trains into the harbour for you to see. I know we've done a few sort of cosmetic ones in the past, but this is now proper. That's bad English, I know, but it's the first time that I can actually sit back with a controller, run some trains in and maybe film that and enjoy it for a little bit. I'm a long way from making it easy because there are so many points here. It takes forever to change a route through. So my next job will start to build a surface that I can control with switches all the points in the future. That's a little way off yet. But what else? Well, before I go any further, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to all of you, my subscribers, and those of you who are not subscribers. Each one of you who took the time and the kindness to sit down and pen me some help and information relating to my problem over by the door on the lift out section. Now, I haven't done anything about it yet, but I will be. I'm just wading through all the information. There is so much and so many different ways of maybe changing what I've got for the better. So I just wanted to take the opportunity that all been noted. And I just got to say thanks very much for each and every one of you who took the trouble. Some of you even went beyond that and emailed me with photographs and explanations. So I got to say thanks. And I will be doing something about it in the near future. That's if I want to keep running trains properly. But it will happen. So what else is going on in my life in Sandling? Well, I've got to say that there have been one or two bits and pieces purchased for the layout, not directly in terms of fleet, but there have been a couple of carriages, there have been one or two accessories that I bought, not to mention a whole heap of cobalt motors which are now in place and working. But I've also just taken delivery of this, so I will unpack this during the course of the video. Looking forward to it. I've had this on order a little while. It arrived today, so I'm really excited about that one. And hopefully I'll get a chip in it and we can run it around towards the end of the video also. So what else? Well, I'm at almost an impasse in a way because it's taken such a long time from the beginnings of Sandling, when it was merely just an idea. Back in the day when I had, for those of you who've been following me for a long time, No Name Junction. And it was No Name Junction. I had no idea what to call it. It was never ever going to be a YouTube channel. It was only because many friends suggested that I put my documented progress on YouTube. I had no idea how it would develop, and here we are today, 2 or 3 years on, and we are where we are. And the journey has been problematical sometimes, heaps of fun, but overall I have made so many genuinely great friends in this hobby, and not just train people or railroaders or model railroaders, whatever you want to call it, whatever label you attach, but also YouTube content creators that run trains as well. It's just been a really lovely passage of time overall. There are one or two times I wish to forget, and many of you will probably have witnessed those during the course of some of my videos. But I really have enjoyed this. But I'm at the point now where 2 years on, almost 3 years on, I think, I must look that up, that I've been sort of building the tables, planning track plans, and laying track down, running trains in between whenever I could. And morphing, things have sort of changed and been added to and altered, hopefully for the better. But I am at the end of that now. The track is down. There is just a little incline into the Folkestone Harbour itself, which is awaiting some help from my good friend James at Bexhill West, who's planning the arches for me. He's actually mentioned that in a recent video of his, so if you go on his channel you can see all about that and many other things that he's actually doing right now. So I'm waiting for that before I can actually start putting any of that area in, but that's a day's work possibly at the worst. There is a little bit of work over there on the TMD where James and I had to take track up to put the engine shed in. So once the engine shed is finished and complete, that track can go back in. But that really is just I's and T's. There's not a lot of that to do. It's almost just a replacement of bits and pieces. So here's my impasse. Where do I go from here? Well, I have got to do some control panels, and that's for sure. I've got to redo the one over on Ashford to incorporate the workings for the turntable over the back there, which is an ADM turntable. And between well, not between me, I got to say, but between John of DCC Concepts and Alistair, who builds those lovely turntables at ADM, or for himself as ADM, they figured out a way that I can incorporate that into my control panel. So that's the next one of the next steps to make. The control panel for the marshalling area, that's up and working, that's fine. I've still got the one to do for here, which is a small one. I want to film that one as well. I want to show others how that process goes on to create the box, the layout, and make it affordable for people to be able to do their own. So that's quite a simple one to do. So hopefully I can get that filmed soon and out to you. There is one to do here for the Hythe station. It did have the addition of a Sandgate station attached to it, but that now has to be taken away because obviously we dispense with the thoughts of doing Sandgate. So there's just a Hythe one to do. It's going to be another small one like the Sandling Junction one. So there'll be two of those, but then the main one here, which will be the harbour scene. Not even in the planning section yet, but it will get there, and hopefully sooner rather than later, because I tell you, it takes forever to route a train through this harbour area, and invariably I forget to switch a point on my NCE, and everything comes to a grinding halt. The lights go off, the sound goes off, and whoa, there we go. So it is a little bit of a nightmare sometimes to do that, but it is what it is. But so all this rambling, I'm trying to sort of say thanks for following me. Thanks for putting up with my rants as and when they've come up, and there have been a good number of them. And there have been times when I've sort of almost called up eBay and asked for a bulk discount on selling all my stuff. And I'm not going to do that. I've come too far. But where do I go? I'm itching to get on with some scenics. I had a little stab behind me, as you remember, on the hill, and I want to continue from that hill. I want to start doing some of the track, some of the ballasting. I just want to get some colour and some bits and pieces working on the layout. Now, you're going to see me disregard one or two things over the next heck knows number of videos. One of those, or two of those, are going to be things like cable trunking and point rodding, and also electrification third rail, which of course was pretty much the thing on the southern steels back in the day, one of the first areas to have that electrification and the third rail. But I feel that there is so much track on my layout to do, and I don't really want to spend another year still dealing with track work, still dealing with that sort of thing. I just want to get some stuff down. So I've made the decision, rightly or wrongly, and I'm sure there are people out there that will suggest another way. Feel free to do so. But I feel that I want to start getting the scenery down, start putting the colour to the track, the sleepers, the ballasting and all that stuff, get some grasses, some shrubs and trees in, so that I can start enjoying the look of the layout, not just the functionality. And I feel that I can add things like third rail later. Maybe a little more difficult, but I think I'd rather do that. And so the reason I'm saying all this now is because I don't really want people to start messaging me, say, hey, you haven't done that, you've forgotten to do that, it's important to do these things. Yes, it is. But I'm just taking a little stopgap out and doing some scenery my way, enjoying it. Always remembering rule one is my layout, and I will do as I feel. I do listen to people. I take advice. Of course I do. I'd be crazy not to. But I think in this instance, I'm just going to ignore how it should be done, in a sense, to add some scenery and come back to the third rail stuff later on. I've got a drawer full of it over here ready to go. I just feel that I want to do a little bit more. Anyway, I am rambling, so let's get, this video is going to be way too long, so let's just get into it and let's see what happened to the final part of track laying on this area. Let's run some trains, let's see how we get on with the other bits and pieces, and I'll catch you all at the end. At that point last week I was in utter chaos here, and there's going to be a little bit of footage just to show you how bad it all looked. And indeed, everything behind the camera here right now is still an utter mess. I actually just cleared this off so I could do some filming. Now the thing was that at the point last week I had a short on the main, and I had at least one short on this new peninsula. This has 14 points on it, and that is being serviced by 18-point motors, 3 asymmetrics, 1 double slip, obviously with 2-point motors on each. At the point of last week, none of the point motors had been attached. It was just the track was laid, glued and finished, and I had to then spend the day underneath wiring all up to the bus and getting it sorted out. When I come to turn it all on to check it, bang, there was a problem. I had been working on here the night before, and there was a short on there. That was sorted out very, very quickly. It was one of the point motors was not quite working correctly. That was my fault. It's just a wiring issue, but I went back in, redone the wires on them, absolutely fine, no problems at all. That was that. But this was a whole different ball game on here. And I have the bus comes in, up and back round again down to this bottom side, because there is a division down the middle, and the bus wire sort of circulates two ends. It also meant that I had more wire to attach some of the wires underneath for all the points and not crowding it out too much. So where did I start? Well, the only thing I could do is I actually just started by cutting the bus in half and trying to isolate slowly down. But in doing so, I had to isolate points where the track could be isolated as well. That wasn't too bad. In fact, I never had to cut one piece of track. I simply slid back fish plates from points so that I could actually isolate them. And where they got a bit close, just put a little bit of plastic in there to make sure it was totally isolated. Eventually, I got it down to one of these here, one of these right hand curve points, and there was another one up there by the engine shed, a little left hand turnout. Now the thing was that I would have argued with you all day long, all night and all the next week, that I had been meticulous in doing everything correct when I put these together and getting the points, each point ready for sort of laying. But it just goes to show I actually left the connecting wires on this one and the same on that one. There was also a dry joint on this one here. So when I'd isolated them and got them redone, lifted the points up, no damage to anything. Luckily, I was really fortunate for that, and could lay them back down. Everything was working fine. The system was clear and it wasn't shorting out, so that part of the job was actually done and sorted. So then I had to start last weekend by putting all the point motors in, and there were 18 of them to do, and I actually finished the last 2 this morning, and that's up on this side here. So they're all running, all checked, everything is running fine, and all the polarities are checked, and all the changeovers and where there are pairs, they've been done. So it's all running, and as you can see, there are now trains on the harbour, and I've just been having a bit of fun, bit of play. So basically what I've got to do is tidy the whole of this area up, not just here but everywhere. Everything has just been stacked up. My small shed, which I use for airbrushing in, is absolutely jammed to the door. I can't get in. I've got to put all the shelving back underneath here and on the other side here, and then I can put everything back in. Great time to organize and stop putting all the junk in place. So I'm going to take my time today and really try and organize the space under here and make it much better, clear my desk and clear everything up, so that either today or indeed tomorrow or next week I can actually start making a start on all the scenic stuff. That's years in the making, as you all know. It's a big layout, and I do hope that I do it justice. But hi guys, welcome back, and it is the end of the day. I have been working extremely hard all day on this, and I have cleared everything off. Everything has been hoovered. The shelves have been rebuilt this side and the other side of the table. Everything has been sorted, ordered, put into baskets so it can't fall everywhere. I'm really so chuffed with how it's all come back together, and that has meant actually sorting so much out around there. And over in that far corner, it really has gone together very, very well. But no extra work on the railway itself, just organising. Lots of hoovering. I've still got this lot to sort out. That's another story. But okay, so without further ado, this arrived today. I've been eagerly waiting for it, and I was so pleased when the notification came through that it was on its way. Get that out of the way. So this is the latest addition to my fleet. That over there. And it is the Aberdeen Commonwealth unrebuilt air smooth West Country class, Battle of Britain class, but yeah, it's just fantastic. Now recently I bought the blue version of a similar locomotive, and I'm really pleased with that. I actually put sound in that one, and I doubt if I'll put sound in this one. I have two with sound in from two different sources. I think that's enough. I don't need to go mad with that. But hopefully you can see how nice she really looks. And you can see this sort of mattish finish to the paintwork. I really quite like that a lot. So here she is, all sitting nicely on a rolling road. I'm going to start her up. Run forward, see how she goes. Okay, by way of another little update, what I've been doing today is putting the first coat of paint on some of the track. I've gone from the corner there right up to that crossover, and coming all the way back this way. All the sleepers have been given a first coat, and that is of the raw umber. I've also come all the way through here. So while the train is on the rolling road in the background, what you're seeing here is yet another storage. Now on the other wall, you know that I have got 3 of these, so I needed more space, especially with those new carriers that I'll show you in a minute, where I've already put some in place. They take up more room, and consequently there is less storage space for locomotives. So I built another one here, and this has got all my diesels on it. Not everyone, some of them are on track, but most of them are set on here. Where do we go from here? Well, as I said, the track work is being done, and it will be done obviously before all the ballasting starts to be done. But I'm going to do it in segments. I'm not going to really sort of spend the next 2 or 3 months doing all the track, getting all the ballasting done. I'm going to do little bits so I can actually enjoy a little bit of scenery, build it up, and complete a little area, and maybe have other projects working around the layout as we go. And it also gives me then time to refine some of the thoughts that I've got, where I want to go with the scenics, what I want to put in, villages, buildings, hills, all that sort of thing. So I want to take my time at that. I do plan on trying to do some scratch building. I've not done it before. I'm not any good at it, I don't think. And I'll probably end up chopping my fingers off before I end up cutting the right size windows for things. But I'm using Paul from Galgorm as a sounding board, and also as a strong reference to learn how to do some decent scratch building. So I'm going to be looking at his channel a lot and going back over all of his videos to see how I can best create some of the buildings that Sandling will need in the future. But more immediately, I made a decision recently that I've got a whole raft of locomotives and rolling stock. Most of them are still in boxes that are in these sort of really useful boxes, just to keep everything safe and out the way. But I want to get them out on track eventually. But I made a decision, as I say, that I only really want weathered down versions, whether they be polished, oily, or whether they be sort of really grungy or almost ready for the scrap heap type things. But I enjoy my weathering an awful lot, and it's really one of the things that got me into railway modelling, is the fact that you can actually take this plastic model and do things with an airbrush and with powders and stuff to make it look much more authentic and take it beyond being a plastic model. So I made the decision that I want to only run stock on the layout that is actually weathered down. So that means to say that an awful lot of my stock is going to remain in boxes or on the shelf for some time to come. But I really want to do that. There is one exception. I've got a 395 that I not only bought on a whim, only because I see them running up and down my main line, but it's certainly out of character for the layout, and certainly out of time for the layout. So I run that around more as a sort of, I don't know, a romantic type thought, because I can actually see that and relate to that. So that will be the only exception, because I just don't really want to weather that one down. I may do in time, who knows. But certainly I've got things on the track that I want to do, and I am only going to put trains other than the 395 that are weathered. That's the only stuff that's going to be on track. So I've got a lot of coaching stock to do and weather that down. So I'm going to be really busy. But it does mean to say that there are an awful lot more videos on weathering to come out from me. I don't want to bore you guys to death with the same process each time, because they are very repetitive processes. So I will sort of just do a lot, but I will also put some out as videos so that you can get something from them. And what else? Well, I've got to do the mimic panels. I've got to do some panels for the harbour and for Sandling and High stations over the next couple of months, so I can then automate the point changes and make that process a lot easier. So I want to video one of those and put that out so you can see that process and how you can actually create a mimic panel without going too expensive or too silly over it price wise. I certainly couldn't do that. I have spent an awful lot of money on the video, on the layout so far, so I've got to try and save some money as and where I can. And I think by looking at the processes of lovely mimic panels and trying to recreate those in a much simpler way works for me. So I'm going to show you how I do one of those, and I think that probably is about it. There may be a bit more running, but in a sense I think that I'm going to stop this video. It's probably already way too long, and I wish each and every one of you happy modelling. Stay safe, have fun, catch you all in the next update. Take care everybody, bye bye for now. Okay, so having spoken about some of the plans for the layout and the weathering plans, certainly there are the first two candidates that I need to do. They are two B4s. They were at home at Dover, I understand. Both of these saw time at Dover and some time at Ashford, and I do believe some time at Folkestone as well. So these B4s will be weathered down for their sort of shunting, station, harbour duties of the future. So they, as I say, they are the first two candidates. So yeah, I look forward to weathering down very soon. A lot of research to see how they may have looked.